What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles welcoming you to another installment of Lyles Figure Files. It was the great military strategist Hannibal Smith that said, "I love it when a plan comes together." Tomorrow was supposed to be the big, glorious reveal of Hasbro's G.I. Joe classified series HasLab project. And after the very obvious and very blatant clues, we all kind of figured it was going to be the HISS tank. But somehow the wires got crossed and the plan did not come together as smoothly as possible. And somebody jumped the gun on Hasbro Pulse and posted the classified series HasLab project, which is indeed the HISS tank. And more importantly, we got the price tag, which is $299. I know for a lot of you in the comments, you said getting this HISS tank is really going to depend on the price. And I know some people were thinking it's got to be $100, $150, but I was looking back at that last 3.75 inch Sky Striker HasLab. That was over $200, and there was no way that a HISS tank for 6-inch figures was going to be cheaper. And I know the Sky Striker could be a bit more involved than a HISS tank, which is really just treads, turret, and a shell to hold 2 or 3 figures. But I knew there was no chance of it being less than that. Now for me, I don't care. I'm buying a HISS tank. I mean, I'm down. And it's important to me to get more G.I. Joe vehicles. So I'm going to support this project. Definitely going to buy one. Probably not going to buy 2. If it was $150, definitely would have bought 2. That way I could have had a little small army of HISS tanks. But definitely getting that first one. Looking forward to see what kind of incentives, what different tiers they offer for it. Clearly, it has to have the HISS tank driver. That's a no-brainer. It's a cool Cobra, unique officer, vehicle driver. He looks great. Rocks the red. He should look good. Should come with that for sure. But it also depends on what else is going to come with this guy that I think is going to matter to other collectors to determine if they're going to spend this much on that HISS tank. And I know when you look at some of the other ones like Galactus, the Sentinel, this might not quite match up. So I think Hasbro really needs to be smart here in terms of the incentives. We all know prices of everything have gone up. $19.99 figures are now $24.99. There's a brief $22.99 price point, but now they're $24.99. So we knew the cost for these things were going to go up. I think what works in G.I. Joe's favor here is they're getting ahead of everybody else. So they're beating out the other Hasbro brands. They're beating Marvel Legends, which I think is really important because typically the Marvel Legends HasLab has sold really well, strongly. It's met all of its incentive goals early, long before the program ends. It's not a thing of, hey, we've got a few more hours left. Can we actually get this thing funded? See the Rancor. And that answer was no. We got the Sentinel funded, and so I don't think there's going to be any problem with that Marvel Legends, whatever it is. Maybe it's a Giant Man, like I suggested, but I don't think they're going to have any problems. So I think getting ahead of Marvel Legends was really key for G.I. Joe in this scenario. I'm not sure if Hasbro was banking on that Star Wars Black Series Reva lightsaber, if that's the only HasLab offering. Gotta feel they're probably going to circle the wagons, come up again with another figure option because that Reva lightsaber is not really hitting it right now. But again, there's another line that I collect that had a crowdfunding project, and that's the WWE. They revealed that WWE New Generation ring. That was really good, had great incentives, and they were able to get that funded too. So beating out Marvel Legends, WWE, and maybe Star Wars is really important. Pretty sure they're going to have a Transformers and a Power Rangers down the road at some point. But this was smart. But I'm a little worried about this price point, just in terms of what this means in terms of a ceiling for other G.I. Joe HasLab projects. If the HISS tank, one of pretty moderate sized Joe Cobra vehicles, needs to go this route, what does that mean for larger scale vehicles? And I think it means we're not going to get them. There's no shot at getting larger scale vehicles, which sucks because there's so many great and amazing Joe and Cobra vehicles bigger than a HISS tank that arguably should be made in a G.I. Joe 6-inch figure line. I don't care if we have to go to a Pulse exclusive setup to get them, but I just don't want to rely on just having to go through a HasLab to get these G.I. Joe vehicles funded. That's not a good option. So then I started breaking down, well, shoot, what do we have that could work Maybe at retail, maybe. We got the Ram cycle, so that came through. Maybe a Cobra Asp, that would be something that could go into retail, maybe. Maybe the Snake, but there are not a lot of options. So I started thinking, all right, we could probably, maybe, potentially get the Skyhawk out to retail. Maybe the All Striker, because that's pretty much a dune buggy with some handlebars that would give it that extra height, so it should fit in a box. Since everything is transitioning over from these plastic compartments, these plastic packaging, we could fit a box like an old school G.I. Joe package, and we just assemble the whole thing like back in the day. And I think there's an option for vehicles like that, maybe for the Vamp, to get them out in retail. But with the HISS tank going on HasLab, I'm a little worried, especially at that price point, because I'm thinking, geez, what would a whale cost? Would that be $600? And yeah, I may consider trying to save up enough money to buy that, but geez, I don't think a lot of us would to get it funded. So I'm thinking maybe the Wolverine is something we could still see at retail. And then by that same measure, the bridge layer, because that's basically just taking the Wolverine, retrofitting a few more parts, adding the bridge components. That way we get that. The water moccasin seems like something that could fit. You take the size of the box of the Black Series Snow Speeder. That was about that big, maybe. And I think all you really need for the water moccasin is just a flat surface. Maybe if you need to add some more length, there's another snap-on component to it for the front part. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of Joe vehicles that could fit at retail with this box presentation that just snap on top of each other. But there are others that will not work. But I'm kind of worried now about vehicles like the Snowcat, the Dragonfly. I mean, the Dragonfly is a signature helicopter for Joe, and gotta get that. I think the APC is a viable HasLab option just because it's long. They could maybe make that top portion cloth. Maybe that's something they could do with it. Maybe they have to take the bridge layer to HasLab, but I don't know if that's a popular enough vehicle to get funded like a HISS tank would. I think the Snowcat for sure would, because you can throw in a few more Snow Joes, make Frostbite the vehicle driver, tier 1, Iceberg, tier 2. You could kind of get those guys coming and rolling. So you got that, but I think this totally knocks out the Havoc. Cross Country's amazing vehicle. It was so much fun. What a great vehicle that was. I don't see how we can get that. Ditto for the Sky Striker. No Night Raven. Boo. No Hydrofoil. No Rattler. No Tomahawk. I mean, there's so many cool Joe vehicles I think are now done. We're not going to get them. We're not going to see them. And that just sucks. I want to see these Joe vehicles, these Cobra vehicles in this line. I'll worry about the space later. Definitely gonna get the HISS tank, but I'm really curious tomorrow to see what kind of incentives, what kind of tiers, if there are more figures we're gonna get from this, because I think for a lot of collectors, they had it in their heads, 200 is my max for this thing, and going another $100, they're gonna need to see a lot. So hopefully there's a lot of excitement for this, and Emily and Lenny show off some really cool components to it that further sell it for maybe the other half of the Joe collecting community that's not too excited or stoked about that price point. But let me know what you think about how this impacts future Joe vehicles, and which ones would you like to see as HasLabs if the HISS tank is pretty much the base for what we can get from it, and what you think could work at retail. And that's it for this episode. I'm going to have a full rollout of Yo-Joe June's conclusion tomorrow, but just wanted to jump on real quick to talk about this HISS tank reveal. All right, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. As always, this episode of Loud's Figure Files has been filed.